cool, the molecules lock together or cross-link. It's not necessary to hold the product at temperature. However, the longer the heat cycle, the shorter the cure time. There are some plastic products that need to be pre-treated prior to printing. This is due to either the nature of the material or residual mold release compound remaining on the surface. To determine whether pre-treating is necessary, drip water on the product. If the water beads up like water on a newly waxed car, you need to pre-treat. Or apply a small amount of thinner or solvent to the product and wipe it off. If this dulls the surface, the material is solvent sensitive and will react with the thinners in the ink, therefore not requiring a pre-treat. The two most common methods of pre-treating are wiping with a primer solvent or flame treating. Flame treating is a process of using a controlled flame to make a quick pass across the area to be printed. The flame must be clean so as not to leave any residue on the part. A propane torch works well, a disposable lighter does not, as it will leave residue. Primers may be effective when used with specific inks on some materials, but flame treating works with a wide variety of material and ink combinations. Extreme caution should be exercised when flame treating. Always keep inks and solvents closed and away from the flame area. Also, be sure to have the appropriate safety equipment readily available. The printer may be used in either a manual or automatic mode. The manual mode is used for small runs, samples, testing plates, or any situation where a large quantity of ink is not required. The automatic mode is used for production runs and will require approximately 40 grams of ink mixture to function effectively. Mix the ink in a separate container to ensure thorough mixing. The ink and hardener are measured by weight. A digital gram scale is ideal for this purpose. To start, place your container on the scale and zero it. This removes the weight of the container from the equation. Most of the time, the ratio of ink to hardener is 5:1. After placing ink into the container, multiply the weight by 1.2 and add the hardener until the scale reads the new weight. Always mix hardener in first before thinning. Next, start adding thinner until the ink mixture flows smoothly off the end of the mixing stick. See how the ink smooths out rapidly and doesn't hold the form of the drips. If the ink thickens up over time, simply add thinner to the mixture. If you over-thin, either let the ink sit, allowing the thinner to evaporate, or add more catalyzed ink if it's not too close to the end of its pot life, approximately 8 hours. Remove the roller from the ink carriage assembly and place both roller tabs on top of the blade plate. Reinstall the ink carriage and position the cam bar into the manual up position. Keep the ink in a separate container rather than pouring it into the ink tray. Be sure to move the bed all the way to its stops to assure proper registration. Mount a part onto the fixture and apply ink to the image area of the printing plate. Move the bed to the right and drop the doctor blade by moving the cam lever to the manual down position. Move the bed to the left to doctor blade the image area. It's not necessary to move the bed all the way to its stop when doctor blading. Just remove the excess ink far enough away from the image so the pad won't pick it up. Raise the doctor blade and move the bed to the left to register the image under the pad. Pick up the image, move the bed to the right, and print the image. After printing, re-ink the plate as soon as possible to prevent the residue ink from drying in the image. With the roller mounted on the ink carriage, pour the ink mixture into the ink tray. With the bed in the full left position, move the cam lever down into the auto inking position. When the bed is pushed to the right, the plate is automatically flooded with ink. As you move the bed to the left, the plate is automatically wiped with the doctor blade. If the plate is not wiped evenly, reflood, make a blade adjustment, and re-wipe. Always move the bed all the way to its stop points when in the auto inking mode. If you stop short, you risk misaligning the print or damaging the doctor blade and printing plate. For pad printing to work, the ink must evaporate its solvents and dry very rapidly. This evaporative process is affected by temperature, humidity, ink viscosity, and the consistency of the printing process. Printing a run of parts should be very straightforward as long as a few simple principles are followed. Don't leave a doctor-bladed plate exposed. The ink in the image is very thin and will dry rapidly. Any adjusting or changing of parts should be done with the plate fully flooded. In the auto inking mode, this would be with the bed fully to the right. If the ink dries in the image, use a piece of cloth with the same thinner used in the ink mixture to carefully clean out the image area. Print the image as soon as possible after picking it up off the plate. If left on the pad too long, it may overdry and not release onto the product. Cool temperatures or ink mixed too thin may create distortion or shadowing of the printed image. Leaving the image on the pad for a short period will allow more time for the ink to become tacky. In extreme cases, it may be necessary to use a faster evaporating thinner. Likewise, if the temperature is hot or the ink is too thick, you may need to slow down the evaporative process by adding thinner to the ink, or in extreme cases, using a slower evaporating thinner. Overcompressing the pad will distort the image. When you increase downward pressure, the footprint of the pad enlarges. You only need to compress the pad enough to cover the image on the plate or transfer the complete image to your part. In some cases, it may be necessary to offset the pad. When printing around radiuses, the pressure in the center of the pad may become too great and force the image to distort. Offsetting the pad keeps the tip or crown of the pad where the pressures are the greatest, away from the image. You can make adjustments to the pad position during printing without disturbing registration. It's the relation between the printing plate and the fixture that must be maintained. You may want to set limits on the compression of the pad. For pickup, adjust the pad mount so the pad is at the desired compression when the tower slide bottoms out. For printing, test print a product and observe the compression of the pad required to print the entire image. Mark what will be the bottom of your print stroke on the side of the tower. You now have stop points to keep you consistent from print to print. For test printing products that are affected by solvents, cover the image area with clear film or tape. This will enable you to see the image quality without committing the product. For two-color registration, use the same process, test printing on clear film to register the second color. The film covers previously removed from the printing plates are ideal for this purpose. Don't use tape, as it may pull off the first image if it is not fully cured. There are 4 steps for each print cycle on the printer: load, pickup, print, and reload. With the bed in the full right position and the plate flooded, load your product in the fixture. Move the bed to full left and pick up the image from the plate. Move the bed to full right and print the product. Remove the printed product and reload the next. Check the registration and quality of the image. If necessary, make the appropriate adjustments and reprint. Once satisfied, complete your print run. With the bed to the left, remove the ink carriage assembly. Remove the roller and doctor blade. Remove the ink tray and separate the plate. For initial cleaning, you can use paper towels. However, a lint-free cloth is recommended for the final wipe. This prevents paper fibers from possibly contaminating the next print run. Clean all parts thoroughly with ink thinner or a fully evaporative solvent like methyl ethyl ketone. Tape off the pad and store it as previously described. Store the printing plate in a dry, protective environment. Other than making sure the printer is free of contaminants and the glass in the exposure unit remains clean, there's no user-required maintenance for the printer. Once again, Namco is committed to supporting its customers with the latest in technical information and product support. If you have any questions, please call us at the number listed in your Printa Owner's Manual. Have great success with your Printa Pad printing system.